This is Art Talk with April, Season 5. This season, we're talking with some return artists from previous seasons and some new artists, some people that are just starting out, and some gallery professionals. So, let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art Talk with April. Today we have Valerie Breshears, and she's an artist located in Tennessee. How are you, Valerie?
I'm really good. How are you?
Pretty good. Great to have you on my show. And how did you get started in making art?
Well, I've just always made art. I liked it a lot as a kid. I always liked to color and draw and paint and like sculpt and stuff as a kid. It's always been kind of an outlet for me. It was always just kind of a hobby. I'm taking it a lot more seriously now, but it was more of a hobby for the most part. But now, like I said, I'm trying to take it more seriously.
Yeah. So did you take art classes or anything in school or go to school for art?
No, I've only had one college art class, and I did a minor in art history. So I incorporate that a lot in my art, that knowledge of art history. Oh. But I didn't go for actual
sure.
hand-on art.
So more self-taught.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what is it that you primarily what is your main medium, or what do you do for your art?
Mostly acrylics. I mostly paint with acrylics, but I also make hemp jewelry and a cross stitch. And I make cards out of cardstock. And I do use watercolors and oils every once in a while. I have a bunch of natural watercolors because for a while I was trying to be really environmental and only use natural watercolors. Oh. But frankly, I'm just not good at it. I'm not good at watercolors. I'm a lot better with acrylics, so I went back to acrylics.
Ah, okay. That's cool. I think everybody kind of ends up having their favorite thing that they like to do, and you try things, and then it may or may not work out. Because I would say the same thing about acrylics. I don't feel like I'm very good at acrylics, so I kind of stay away from them. But I do watercolor sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
So what kind of subject matter do you do in your work?
A lot of nature stuff. I've been trying to do more kind of pop art and still lives recently. I do a lot of flowers and trees.
Okay.
I've been trying to branch out because that's what I mainly did before. It was a lot of flowers and trees.
Yeah.
And now lately I've been trying to do the still lives, some bugs, some abstract stuff with some bugs.
I got you.
Just different things now. I've been trying some little ghosts, some cute little ghost ones, just things like that. I'm just trying to try a bunch of different stuff now.
Yeah. I love that. I love the ghost thing. That's awesome. I'm kind of a fantasy kind of person, so I really enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so what would you say is kind of your direction? Are you wanting to, are you selling at shows and festivals and things like that?
Yes. Yeah. I'll be in the Borough Art Crawl next Friday.
Okay.
But I find not any of the big festivals yet, but the smaller art crawls and Fourth Fridays and just kind of local events. The big events stress me out right now. They're too intimidating, and they're long, and there's a lot of people involved. I don't know. They're intimidating, so I'm not to that point yet.
Yeah. That's one of those things. I think I'm there too, where I don't know if I could handle a 3-day weekend kind of event.
Yeah,
because just I don't know, even a 2 or 3 hour event can be kind of exhausting.
I know. That's why I like these little art crawls and Friday night things, because they're only 3 to 5 hours. And and they're not hot or cold because it's like the summer and they're in the evening. So they're like they're a good temperature. Like I'm going to do the farmers markets this summer, but they're at like 8 to 12. So they'll be hot. And it'll be hot and sticky, but that'll be okay.
Yeah. That's a good idea. The farmers markets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like a tent set up, or are you doing like just a table, or what's
I'm sorry. I have an awning. I have like a little awning, and then I have right now just 2 tables.
Okay.
I probably want to get a 3rd table. I have a rack to hang things on, but I haven't used it yet. I just got it recently, and it didn't come with the hooks. That's actually something I just realized this morning. I was like, I never ordered the hooks for it. So I need to get the hooks by next Friday, because I have a rack to like display paintings on, but I haven't actually used it yet.
Yeah. So you're kind of still sort of trying to figure out like your display and that kind of thing and what you want to add to it. So
yeah.
Are you selling your art under your name, or do you have like a business name or another name you go by?
It's both. I have a business name, which is Freya's Fernwood Treasures.
Oh, yeah.
But I also just use my name, Valerie Breshears, as the artist too.
Okay.
So
that's cool. Have you ever had like any setups in stores or locations someplace, like where you like maybe have like a shelf or something in a store locally?
Yeah, there was a small art gallery in Nashville in 2019, I think, or 18. And I cannot remember the name of it. And I don't think it exists anymore, because it was like, I swear it was something like Pop Start or something weird like that. And I cannot find it. It was in East Nashville, and I cannot find it. But anyway, they had my cards in their little gift shop area. It was some little gallery, and they had a little gift shop area. And they had my postcards and my greeting cards in there.
So are those cards that you're making, are they like prints, or are they like something else?
They are prints of paper. They used to be vintage inspired postcards, like vintage postcard things, but now I'm trying to use my own images, and they print, and then I glue them onto cardstock and decorate them and stuff, and like embellish them and things like that. So they're kind of printed, but then it's like collage art.
Oh, I got you. Okay. So they're kind of original pieces then that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. As I'm just trying to learn about like what you're doing, would you have any advice for people who are maybe just starting out making art and thinking about doing like the smaller events? Like, do you have any advice for people?
To stick with it, because it can be overwhelming and intimidating. And some people in the art community are real rude. And that's probably been like my biggest setback, I feel like, is that sometimes people are just really critical of your art, and you're like, okay, and that can be really discouraging, but you have to just understand that not everyone likes your art, and your art isn't for everyone, and you should still do what you love and create, and it will get easier, because like I run into people that were kind of rude, and it discouraged me, but now I'm trying to like push myself to get out there and just not worry about that.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I have really been concerned about, like being at an event and having a table and having all your art out there and worrying over what people say or might say, or are they like saying something like directly to you, or are they saying it like when they're passing or walking by, or...
It's not the customers. It's like other artists. Artists can be very competitive and just judge, especially in the like fine art community. Because my paintings, they're acrylic paintings, which means they are fine art, but they're not like beautiful landscapes.
They're not like traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a lady that was just real rude about it one day, that they just didn't.
Oh, man.
It was for the art crawl, and they just expected it something else. They just didn't expect my art, but they were real rude about it. And I was just like, whoa, they made me cry.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
but that was years ago.
Yeah.
That was years ago. And so now I'm having a much better experience this time, and just pushing myself to be out there. And that's what I would just encourage people, is that even if people are rude or you feel like it's really hard, no one's buying your stuff. Like I go through, frumps like that where no one's buying anything for months and months. So you feel like you should quit. But if you love making art, then you should just keep making art, even if it's not selling, is what I feel like. You should just do it. And eventually you'll find your niche, or you'll have enough art to put on your own show, and you can go somewhere and put on your own show anyway.
Yeah. That's a great idea. I think that would be wonderful. I think that would be something to strive for, because even if you didn't, necessarily sell a bunch at an event, you could definitely like have a wall, or even have like a whole, I don't know, like an area at a library or something like that. Yeah. No.
The Coffee Break is a coffee shop here in town, and they let artists rotate. They do it like every 6 weeks. They change the art up in there, but that's what they give all the local artists the opportunity to display their art. Every 6 weeks they switch it up so that everyone has an opportunity to show things.
Wow. And now, where are you in Tennessee? Like, what town are you?
Technically, Unionville. Shelbyville would be the one people would know. I'm near Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro, is the biggest city around. I live out in the country.
Oh, I see. So if people wanted to find your art, they would go to Murfreesboro, or where?
Murfreesboro and Shelbyville mostly. I've been mostly in Shelbyville and Murfreesboro.
Okay, that's cool. About what size are your paintings?
They vary. I have a bunch of little ones, and so I've been trying to to make myself paint bigger ones. The average is 8 by 10. That's a good size for me. I found it's like an 8 by 10 is a good size for me.
Okay. And then how do you price your work?
I don't know. That's really hard.
It is.
I try to compare it to others, to others that seem to be the same quality and the same thing and everything. I try to compare it and make my prices a good average price for those things. But it's hard because a lot of people undersell.
Oh, yeah.
And so people look for cheaper stuff. And then you see people out there that are selling things for twice as much as what you thought you could sell it at. And you're like, well, why do they get to sell it for that much more, even though mine feels like it's the same? And so, but you just have to find, I don't know. But that's one thing I struggle with, is trying to price things.
Yeah, I think it's a common issue among artists. We really don't know. I think I kind of went about the way that you did, as far as kind of seeing what other people were pricing their stuff as. I feel like maybe the people who price their stuff more, maybe they've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
And people, because that's what I think I've noticed other people doing too. It's the more events they do, they'll bump up their price every so often or something. And maybe that's what I'm assuming. I'm kind of guessing about that, because I'm
I think that's, that's kind of what my theory was, is that they've just been doing it a lot longer. So they feel they can
maybe more people are already collecting their work or something. And so they can charge that much. I don't know. It's a good question. It's one of those, I feel like a lot of artists are probably thinking like we are, and kind of trying to figure it out, why is that person selling an 8 by 10 acrylic for, I don't know, $100 or something. And you're like, okay, how does that happen? Because what would be some of the hardest like challenges you've had as an artist? Like, has there been anything that you've really struggled with, or you felt like, this might be something that other people might be struggling with?
It's hard to resist the temptation of being mainstream with your art, because it's like you start out as art as like a hobby and you're just doing it for fun and you're making what you like. And then at some point you think, well, I could sell it. So you start selling it. And then if you're not careful, you only think of it in means of something you can sell. You can only, and then you start being focused on, well, what's going to sell? What can I do that's going to sell? What do people like? And then that's where I find it's hard to make art. And I finally realized it was because I had like the wrong motivation. I needed to go back to just making what I want to make and not worry so much about whether anyone buys it. And like I've been doing that, and I've sold so many paintings this year.
Wow.
And I feel like if you just keep doing your own thing, and you'll find the right people.
Yeah.
Because trying to go mainstream doesn't always work. And people go viral, things go viral and stuff. But ultimately, trying to go mainstream really doesn't usually work.
Yeah. So you're kind of saying like trying to do what other people are doing, or trying to do things that you think people would buy versus doing what you would like to do, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think gosh, you're just like, you are pointing out so many things that I deal with myself and think about like, oh my gosh, like I have that same problem. And I think that that one might be one of the hardest, because especially when you're wanting to get further in your art and you're wanting to sell more and you're wanting to charge more and you're wanting to do the bigger events, which are more expensive. You're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Do I need to change what I'm doing?
Yeah. And you just have to be more patient, really. Because then you just find yourself disappointed and you have all this art you don't like. And you're like, well, yeah.
That's so true, because you're doing art for other people, right? You're not doing the things you like. You're doing things that other people might like.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, are there any like resources as far as, I don't know, other artists that you follow, or any art books or websites that you recommend?
I just would encourage people to go out and find their local art groups. Like, people think there's no like art scene in their small towns, when there is. And a lot of it nowadays is on Facebook, and you just have to search for it. That's how I found like all of my opportunities. Most of them came through Facebook, just finding local groups and art groups and like calls for art and stuff like that. So really, that's my greatest resource right now is actually Facebook.
Yeah. So are you a part of any artist groups that you recommend?
Yes, I don't know. All of them are like local. I'm a member of the Tennessee Craft. If you're in Tennessee, we have this group called Tennessee Craft. And then I'm a member of the Southeast Fiber Alliance, which is based out of Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
And it's like a Fiber Arts Alliance. It's a fiber arts group.
Yeah.
And then most of the others are little local ones.
Okay. Yeah. And have you found like, do those groups like offer any kind of art shows or events and things that you get to join, or what do you?
Yes, they have classes. They have like classes that only members can take, and they have shows and stuff that only members can participate in.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's a really great idea. Okay. Well, where can people find you and your art? Like, what are your, I guess, online and in person? Like, what do you have coming up?
Coming up in person next on June 14th is the Borough Art Crawl in Murfreesboro. And then on June 22nd and 29th, I plan on being at the Normandy Farmers Market in Normandy, Tennessee.
Okay.
And then on the 28th, I plan on being at the Shelbyville Fourth Friday, which is in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
Wow.
And those are hopefully... I don't always end up going. Sometimes I get overwhelmed and decide not to go. But these small events I've been a lot better at.
Yeah.
So I plan on being at these small events. So hopefully I'll show up.
Yeah. That's a lot of events. Like, how many events do you do, like, in a year, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I took some time off for like a few years there.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was like homeschooling my son and I was working part-time and I just didn't have as much time for art. But last year, my son's father got we switched to joint custody.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to his dad's every other week now, and he's going to public school. And I switched jobs from Domino's to Instacart. So I have all this free time now.
Nice.
And so I was able to devote all this free time into my art. So that's why I hadn't done an event. I did an event like 2 years ago, and I did some in 2019. But really, this year is the first year I've been like gung-ho about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying I may not end up doing the next 4 events because it is a lot in a month. But I am being ambitious anyway. I'm trying to be ambitious.
Yeah. I mean, I think, hey, if you can manage it, do it. Because I do think, like, the more people see you and know that you're there, the more, I don't know, like word of mouth would grow and people would talk about you like, oh yeah, Valerie's going to be at such and such, and then people who want more of your art or appreciate your art especially are going to get to those events. Do you have like a calendar or somewhere that you're like posting all the events you're doing?
No, I might update I was making events on my Facebook page, but people get them confused. People get my events confused with like the official events. And they were like messaging me about wanting to be vendors and stuff. And I was constantly explaining, this isn't my event. This is an event I'm going to. And I made this event for my followers. Yeah. I didn't need for there to be this confusion.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I had never thought about that. That's great.
I didn't either. And then I made all these events and I kept getting messages. And so finally I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't make the events on my profile. I don't know. I didn't mean to cause so much confusion.
Oh, gosh, that's great. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. I love your art. I love what you're doing. I think, like you said, just keep at it.